So when you're in South Carolina, you have to come to the upstate, which is the Greenville-Spartanburg area. And just in between, you'll see a town called Greer. And it's actually BMW. When you're at BMW, you'll find that this is where they make the X3, X4, X5, and X6 vehicles for the entire world. And I had the chance to take a personal factory tour with Steve Wilson from BMW. So let's go check it out.
The BMW factory is a very busy place. They're producing X3s, X4s, X5s, and X6 models for the entire world. So we're going to skip past this welding process and body and white process, and we're going to skip the paint process because each car is relatively the same until the options are installed. And we're going to take a tour in the highly sensitive assembly area with Steve Wilson. He's allowed us to use cameras, and we're going to go through the process for the X3 and X4s to see how they're put together. Amazingly, they're mostly done by hand, which sort of makes this car a hand-built car. And that's amazing considering they're almost producing 400,000 of these a year. So let's get started.
Literally, the first thing that is done is the VIN number is put on the car. So the car is now identified with a specific customer. One of the next things that happens, the doors go off of the car.
Okay.
There are a couple of reasons. Number one, we don't want to scratch the doors or the car. And for ergonomics, when an associate has a process to do inside the car, they want to have full range of motion.
Ingress,
so the door's not in the way.
Yeah.
So the doors are taken off here. They go overhead to their separate assembly line. And over there, all the electronics, the glass, everything's put in on the separate door line. When they're finished at that door line, the door goes up overhead again, all the way down about a third of a mile, I'll say, and they're put the same door that was taken off of this car is put on the same car down here.
So they track the doors with this car.
Yes, just assign the same build number as the car has.
Okay. So that's how they know the options and the interior color.
Right.
Okay.
These white sheets are the build sheets. They have the build number on it, so all the specific options are on there.
Okay.
But also, you'll see all along the line, there are video monitors that remind the associate, okay, this is the part that goes on here.
Okay.
So it's very specific. The hood here, this gray and black, is the transponder.
Okay.
It always tells our assembly production area where a car is at any given time.
And when to take a part out.
Right. Well,
Repair.
and that all goes through communications, all the software.
Wow.
All the software.
It's fully integrated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's impressive about our plant is ergonomics. A couple of things you can see just right in here. One is the wooden conveyor floor, which gives a little bit. It's not as bad as concrete or even a steel platform.
Yeah.
So it's better on the feet. The other thing is you can see these, each car is on a lift, so it can go all the way down. It moves up here, and it allows the associate not to have to bend over or reach up. They can work directly in front of them ergonomically to limit the number of repetitive motion injuries that might occur.
And I can see right now, X3, X4, X3,
Right.
X3, X4.
There is a very specific production control method as to what cars go when.
Okay.
Very much, not just put them out there. It's very specific.
Probably because of time, that window of time
Sure.
for each car. Yeah. Excellent.
So in these areas, they are installing the airbags. It's really tough on your back and your knees if you don't have a good, safe way to get inside. So they use the Raku seats. It's sort of a floating seat. She knows how to operate it real easily. Well, yeah, here you go. You'll see her. She gets in. Very easy. She has her tools inside.
And it doesn't touch the car at all.
It doesn't touch the car. They've got padding around it to make sure if it happens to that it's not going to damage the car in any way.
Yeah.
She's able to do that in a very safe, non-strenuous way. And then across the way, and we can walk over there if you want, another ergonomic feature is the tilt area.
So what's this area here, this little area?
Right here?
Yeah.
It's a transfer station. The car has been on a conveyor, slack conveyor type thing here. So it's being picked up here by sea carrier, which is preparing it to go into tilt.
Okay, so this is where it begins.
Right. This is where tilt really begins. The car is locked onto the sea carrier, and then it can safely tilt at a 45, 90 degree angle.
Oh, and it comes out above us
Right,
too.
and the empty tilt carriers are above us.
So no space is wasted in this building.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
The car is on its side. Everybody's able to work very safely. You got your fuel lines and brake lines and your gas tank and
Fuel filter. Yeah.
all the other things you need. Some underbody protection, I guess.
So at this stage, we don't know if it's a diesel or a hybrid or electric.
Well, you might buy the fuel line. If you looked on the build sheet, you might be able to see, it'll tell you what kind of engine, a code,
Yeah.
and that code would identify it as a diesel engine, a 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder, well, yeah, 8-cylinder.
Yeah. And so when you're building these, you're not doing like 20 of one. You're doing each individual build at a time.
Right. The BMW of North America came out with a commercial that said you could build a car and have 10 million different options. There are 10 million. So it's easily, you would not build the same car twice in a long period of time. I'm not going to give I don't know if it's a year, 2 years, or what it might be.
Well, it would never be the same. A new model year.
Yeah, that well. And there are software packages that are updated every 3 or 4 months, so different software.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have updated, facelift models, and then, of course, new generation cars. All the, you see a lot of forklifts and tuggers. We call them material trains. I'll point it out to you when we see one here.
Okay.
They go by, but we've got about, I'm guessing 100, 120 in this hall. 200, more than 250 in all. They're all powered by hydrogen. It's not a battery-powered forklift. It's hydrogen fuel cells. And then we have fuel cell filling stations all scattered throughout each assembly hall and body shop and paint. This is one of them here. You can see Gen Drive Plug Power is the partner.
Wow.
So that's a fuel cell right here. It takes a driver 2 to 3 minutes to stop by a fueling station, fill it back up with hydrogen, and then get back to work.
Okay.
When we had batteries, you had to drive to one location. It could be all the way across the plant. You had to sit in line. You had to take the battery off, put a new battery on, and the process would take 20 minutes. This process takes easily 4 minutes or less.
Okay.
So you're saving time, you're more efficient, you're more obviously environmentally conscious, because the only output from a fuel cell, hydrogen fuel cell, is water and heat. That's it. This is the main spine of the line where a lot of the activity goes. Instrument panels installed here. We have a sub-assembly area just beyond it where the instrument panel is built up, and then finally put in down here.
Now, does that vary as the day goes on, and the whole line may shift down a little bit?
Not really.
Okay.
There's this is a lift assist. It has a special machine that picks up the instrument panel from that little AGV over there.
Okay.
When it picks it up, it only has so far it can go. This is where it starts, and it ends not 50 feet away. So they have to put it in this way, or they have to stop the line.
Okay. And then when you guys do like a crew break or something like that, it's
everything stops.
Everything. Okay.
Everything stops.
It's like a reset, or do you begin like where you were?
You begin where you were.
Okay.
Now, if you're in the middle of doing some process, you probably want to finish it.
Okay.
Or you might have forgotten where you were.
Yeah.
So you would finish that process and then take your break.
Yeah.
Because during the break, it's a 10-minute break, 40-minute lunch, and I think about 8 of the 10 minutes and 35 out of the 40 minutes, the lights go off to conserve energy.
Wow.
In all the plants, both plants. So here you go. Instrument panels going in.
And do we know where this car is going? Is it going to another country, or is this for the U.S.?
We could look on the build sheet and see. It's a gas engine. It's a country. It's a PRC.
So now, what this brings me to the next question is, if it's a left-hand drive, you're building it here. If it's right-hand drive, it could be the next car.
Yes,
yeah,
sure. Absolutely.
This could be a right-hand drive.
I'm looking at the way that looks like it could be a right-hand drive.
What fortuitous timing.
Yeah, that's what's the great thing. Every car, every X model, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in the world is built here. So you do have left-hand drive and then a right-hand drive, one built in the U.S., one going to Great Britain, one going to China. So we export 70% of everything we build to 140 countries.
Wow.
Mostly out of the port of Charleston, which is where one of the reasons BMW came to South Carolina was a great deep water port. Charleston was a big reason. We'll pass where the seats go in the center console. We'll pass the glass, where the glass goes in the car, or on the car. This area here is what they call it glazing. I think the rear glass goes on first, a little bit quicker than the front glass, but he needs to get up close right against the fence.
I always love watching the robots do their work.
It's fascinating. Of course, for me, the body shop is the most fascinating place. We've got like 1,400 robots with all the shops.
And it makes sense to have that precision welding points. And
everybody's got certain stiffness to it. You want to make sure that it's consistent every single time. So what happens, there's a robot in the distance that installs the adhesive, a bead of adhesive along the perimeter of the glass, and then this other robot picks it up with suction cups and places it on the car. Even puts a little bit of tape at the top of the car.
Oh yeah.
To make sure the glass doesn't shift in process. That says PRC on it too, so that may be a China car.
Yeah. And then when you're talking about the PRC versus, let's just say, Australia market, those cars will be built differently. They'll have different suspension and different...
Sure. We do have auditors from different countries. Okay. China is one of them. They come to the plant to audit us, as every manufacturer, not just auto, is audited by countries where they ship cars to make sure that it's being done their way.
To the standard of their country.
To their standards, yeah.
Yeah, because obviously you'll have different engines and different emissions, and those all take into account when you're producing it. Okay. Well, we can continue now?
Across the way are the dock doors. So Lear, 2 to 3 hours before a car is going to reach this spot, they're given the signal to build the seat for a specific car model with the options and everything. They build the seat, and then they put it on the truck. It comes here to these dock doors, and you can see literally within 50 feet, 100 feet of the line, that's where the seat's delivered. Then tuggers go in. They're just in sequence.
Okay.
And just in time, that's where that comes from. But a tugger will go in, and you can see this gentleman over here to your right is loading new seats. So we only keep 3 or 4 pairs of seats online at any given time on each side.
Right. So this would be a driver's seat coming up because it's a right-hand drive, and then the next car will be passenger seat. So it's not always just one type of seat. It
right.
changes.
It could be a driver's. In this case, the typical case, I guess this is the passenger seat side. Yeah. But for a car going to Great Britain, it's the driver's seat.
Yeah. That fascinates me that it's always in at the right moment and in the right order all the time.
Yeah. So for us, it's efficiencies, but a wreck on the interstate, icy interstate or back roads, can hurt just in time, just in sequence. The sequence is no big deal. Or the just in time part of it.
Rain and everything else.
Right.
Do you have like a contingency for that, or is it just?
There's a buffer.
Okay.
So yeah, there's certainly a buffer of seats available. It's not a long buffer.
Cool. All right, let's go see that marriage. You know, what's amazing is like there's really no new car smell.
Oh, we put the new car smell in down here.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
That's what we jokingly tell our tourists.
I imagine like you guys employ like technicians for the robots, and that happens during off hours. You're not going to shut it down to do maintenance.
They're here. I mean, you have lots of robots, lots of machinery moving parts, and the equipment service associates, they're called ESAs. They're trained in specific areas and how to quickly manage a problem and to fix a piece of equipment. But they're always here.
X4 diesel, right?
It's an X4. You may know if it's a diesel more than me by the way the engine looks. I don't know.
I think it says X-Drive something D. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a diesel.
Yeah, it's almost done now. I can take it out for a spin.
Just about. Yeah, give it about another hour and you'll have tires on it. A lot of tooling might be done during a Christmas break.
Right.
So they're usually shut down about 2 weeks.
Or in August is like a traditional shutdown in Europe.
In Europe it is. Over here, I mean, we will build close to 400,000 cars this year.
Wow.
We don't have time to shut down much.
Okay.
We did shut down 1 week during the week of the 4th of July. And of course all the federal holidays.
Yep.
2 days Thanksgiving, and Christmas is a week and a half to 2 weeks, depending on where Christmas actually falls.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of time to shut down. Back in 2005, we only had one assembly hall, and we actually shut the assembly hall down for 6 weeks. We retooled the entire assembly hall. We went from having 2 separate lines, a line that built X5s only, a line that built Z3s, Z4s only, to a combined line like it is now.
Wow.
And in 6 weeks, we brought in machinery. We literally stripped everything and put in entirely new tools.
Just take it down to the shell.
Right.
And then reconfigure.
Really like building inside of a new plant. It really was.
Yeah. That must be really fun to like do typically. I'm walking here, but not anymore.
I documented the 6 week time period. We put together a video later. It was the most fascinating thing because you had destruction machines that came in. It was like they had scissors on the end, and they would just say, "We're not going to keep this." They would just snip it, and it would just fall to the ground.
Wow.
And then they had big machines. They would cut it up into smaller. It's like using a chainsaw where you cut down the limb and then you cut down the smaller limbs and then you load it in the back of the truck and get rid of it. That's exactly what they did. They cut down the entire thing and then they made it into smaller steel pieces and then they took it away and then most of it was recycled.
At $400,000 a year, are they coming off the line every 3 minutes at this point?
I would have. Well, we'll get it down. There's about 1,350 built a day in assembly. And it's 20 hours. So if you did the math, I don't know, it may be one every 90 seconds.
Yeah.
I'd have to get my calculator out and do it.
I'll do it later. Okay.
You have the stackers right over there, and it goes up 6 stories or so, maybe.
It's weird because BMW does not do front-wheel drive, so you're not seeing anything here where it's obvious.
We do front-wheel drive now. I think that 2 Series Grand Tourer. There are a couple of models that we now do. Not this plant, obviously, but they're doing front-wheel drive. The demand is so strong for these cars that consistently assembly works 6 days, 12 shifts. That's right. And Body shop is 6 days, sometimes 6.5. Paint is also 6, sometimes 6.5.
And what we're seeing here, this is how they have come from where they were manufactured in Europe.
The engines have come from Austria or Munich or Hams Hall, England. The transmissions have come from that supplier. They're in a stacker just beside this assembly line here. And again, just in time, just in sequence, they're called to this line by the computer, and these guys start the assembly process for the powertrain.
Wow. Where's the one where they pound on the roundel?
That's at the end.
Okay. That's a mile away?
No, just a half a mile.
Half a mile.
So he just put those kidneys on for this
Oh,
next
okay.
one.
They're putting the kidneys on. So how, what's the average tenure of your employees that do assembly? I mean, I'm sure you progress them through to different areas, but as far as
the turnover rate for BMW production associates is really low.
yeah,
It's a low percentage, 2%.
well, out here, who would want to leave?
Right.
Yeah.
They have good wages, good benefits. They have the opportunity to lease a car if they want to at a good rate. So the chicken dance, believe it or not, that's a quality thing. You have two cords. You have a blue cord and you have a yellow cord.
Okay.
If you're working along the line and you encounter a problem, something that you need help with, you will pull the blue cord. The blue cord plays music. In that case, it was the chicken dance. And the the process supporter, the person who's in the yellow vest,
Right.
will come to that area and they look down the line, you wave them down, and they will help you fix the problem.
Okay.
You want to fix any kind of problem you have before it leaves your work area.
Okay.
For some reason, if you can't do that and you can't let that problem advance any further, you pull the yellow cord, that will stop the line.
Ah. So it might stop soon. Or yeah. Okay.
You don't want to do that. When the process supporter gets there, they will pull the blue cord again. That stops the music. But they're still working on the issue that the person has.
Okay.
Ideally, you don't want to pass on a quality problem or any kind of issue to your
someone
neighbor.
else. Yeah. Or the customer.
Right, obviously. But literally, your neighbor, the person who comes next in line working, is your customer.
Okay. Yeah.
Because you don't want to pass on something bad to your colleague who's just up the line.
Yeah.
So you want to get it fixed.
Yeah, it's fun. We've almost built an entire car.
in just an hour.
Now, do you do an apprenticeship like they do in Europe?
We have a program that's very similar to apprenticeships here. We call it the BMW Scholars. For us, we have 3 technical colleges that we work with. And it can be anyone who's a high school graduate, or it could be someone who's starting a second career. We've had both of those types of scenarios. Ours is real popular. We also have we call it Engineering Operations Management Development Program, where we will recruit and select top-notch college graduates. Primarily engineers, but there are other areas as well, finance and procurement, logistics. And that program is a 2-year program too. They come here, they're employees, but they spend 8 months in 3 different parts of the plant.
Wow.
And then at the end of those 2 years, they're assigned to a specific area.
Wow.
And they're full-fledged associates while they're here.
That's excellent.
And so these are college graduates, and they're the new management of the future.
Here's the moment.
Yep.
This is the moment.
This is touchdown. When the car first hits the conveyor, wheels down. And then just beyond this, where the tires touch for the first time, is the fluid fill. That's where all the fluids are installed. The gas, the transmission fluid, brakes fluids, all the coolants, yes, everything.
And so if you wanted to take delivery and you're in America and you want to take delivery at the factory, you can do that?
You can take delivery at the BMW Performance Center across the street.
So it's taking a picture. I noticed a flash. When it gets to a certain point, the car, it's like taking a photo of the car or something.
It may be. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
When this assembly hall first opened, BMW of North America set up 7 small camera locations and developed a program for U.S. customers that they could actually get a video of their car being built.
It's getting brighter in here.
Yeah, and that's what you'll see. The lights are tilted more. Here you're looking visually at places. You'll see associates looking at specific parts of the car, maybe parts where a customer has we call them customer quality hotspots. So these are places where there could be issues that the customer has noticed in previous cars. We want to make sure that it's right all the time.
Some extra focus.
Yes. So yeah, they're hands all over the place, checking every nook and cranny, making sure the finish is good, fit.
And I guess for each country, the alignment of the headlights is going to be different. So,
I'm not sure, but you're probably right.
Yeah, this is a right-hand drive car.
Oh.
Oh, that's a diesel too. X4M X Drive 2.0T.
It's not an M in the sense that it's a motorsport engine, but it has M options.
Okay.
Specific. Still has the 2-liter diesel engine, but there's the M package they call it.
But this is sport, like a sport version. Okay.
Maybe special steering wheel stitching or special interior.
Yeah.
Here you can see inside. You can see it's a tachometer check at 150 kilometers per hour.
Yeah, you can kind of hear it from here now.
Yeah, you can.
I wonder if... Can we stick my audio in there or no?
think it's Great Britain.
Okay.
Well,
No, it's left-hand drive. Spain. Hola.
Yeah, you ready?
Yep. Awesome.
You know, if it's a U.S. car, it goes on the back of a truck, transfer truck, and sometimes rocks kick up from tires off of an interstate or something, and you don't want it to chip and damage the paint, so that special white wrapping keeps the car safe.
That's a nice color.
It's beautiful.
That thing looks awesome.
In March, late March, we celebrated our 3 millionth car built here at the plant.
That's right.
So since then, we probably built another 100,000 or more. So we're probably 3.1.
And you still have the first car in the visitor center?
Well, the very first car is a signature car that was presented to the public in November 1994. So there are about 600 plus signatures of the first associates. And we keep that car really secluded because that car, the signatures actually, it doesn't have a special coating on the car, so the signatures can rub off.
Yeah.
So we keep that car and only present it to the public at special occasions.
Yeah.
That was the first car, and the millionth car is in the Zentrum, the 1 millionth car.
Oh, good.
The 2 millionth car was in the Zentrum. I'm not sure if it's in there now or not. And then the 3 millionth car is actually a customer car.
Wow.
If they're going to California or the West Coast area, they're actually put on a train.
Wow.
We have a train that backs up literally to the back of the plant.
Okay.
And cars that are going for export or cars that are going to the West Coast are sent by rail.
Okay.
So literally they're driven out of here, they're staged, and then they pull right on the back of the rail. Once the train gets to Charleston, the cars are unloaded, they are staged. They might sit there a day or two at most, but then they're loaded on the next ship going to primarily Bremerhaven in Germany. There are other ports of call too, but Bremerhaven's the European port of call typically.
Okay.
And they have loaded as many as 1,400 cars in a 10-hour period onto a ship. 70% of everything we build here is exported primarily through the port of Charleston.
And that's also where they take cars in from Europe. So there's like in and out going in that same spot.
Yeah, that's true. There's some in Brunswick too, as well, Brunswick, Georgia. But there are cars coming from Europe that are unloaded off and they're actually transported up here. And for instance, many cars in our vehicle program that associates take part in come directly through here, and they're prepped here and then delivered to the customer.
Wow.
BMW associate here. And the associate leases the car for a period of time or mileage.
Okay.
And then they turn that car in and they get another car. So when you pick up your new car, you order your next car.
Wow. So you constantly get to experience a lot of different products.
You can.
And that there was the amazing tour of BMW in South Carolina. And I'd like to thank Steve Wilson from BMW for allowing me to have the access to the factory to see how the X3, X4, X5, and X6 vehicles for the entire world are made here in South Carolina.